office. Go ahead, James.
Thank you very much, Karine. With respect to the incident involving Secretary Austin, from your statements and those of Admiral Kirby, we learned today that President Biden expresses full faith and confidence in this cabinet officer, even though neither the president nor anyone else on his staff yet knows why Secretary Austin violated the existing rules and withheld this information. Is it the posture of the president that Secretary Austin's motivation is irrelevant to the president's estimation of him in this incident?
What I will say is, and we have said this many times, is that Secretary Austin put out a statement taking full responsibility of what has unfolded over the last couple of days, and the president appreciates that. I have the statement right in front of me, but I'm sure you've seen it. And one of the things that's in here, he said, is I also understand the media concerns about transparency. And I recognize I could have done a better job ensuring the public was appropriately informed. I commit to doing better. But it is important to say this is my medical procedure, and I take full responsibility for my decisions about disclosure. So, Secretary took full responsibility. I think that is important to note. We appreciate that he's taken full responsibility. And one of the things that I've stated multiple times at this podium in the past couple of minutes is that the Pentagon is going to do a full review. We're going to let that review happen. It's going to take about 30 days, as they stated in their memo. And also we're going to take extra steps here, as we've stated with the memo, as I've stated with the memo that the Chief of Staff sent out to agencies.
Just to follow on this before I pose an unrelated second question, the motivations on the part of the Secretary for doing this are unknown to the President. And you're telling us there's going to be a 30-day review, et cetera. Shouldn't the expression of full faith and confidence in this cabinet officer await the results of that investigation? And also, isn't it a key piece of information for the President to know why Secretary Austin did this before he expresses full faith and confidence in it?
I think one of the things that's so important, and we don't see this enough in today's world, is for someone to take responsibility. So someone to actually say, I made a mistake and I take full responsibility. And I think that's important here.
The motivation is not
I'm not going to speak to that. I'm going to speak to the action of taking responsibility here, and I think that's important. And the president appreciates that. And the admiral laid out some of the things or actions and that the secretary has taken over the last 2 years, that has been very helpful and that has really played into his leadership as Secretary of the Defense. And so he has done a really a stellar job in that position. The president appreciates the job that he's done, and he's taken responsibility, and I think that's important here as well.
On this event Friday in Allentown, Pennsylvania, that you've just disclosed to us, you've told us that it's going to be a speech about Bidenomics. How ought the so-called ordinary American at home to distinguish between official events and political events in this season? I've done this long enough to know that the president's remarks in Allentown on Friday are going to sound an awful lot like a campaign appearance. So what distinguishes an official event from a campaign event at this point?
I mean, we've been very clear. When there's been a campaign event, I've said it's a campaign event, and you have to go to the campaign, right, to get information. And usually a campaign event comes from the campaign. And so that's very clear. That is very clear. And so I don't know how else we could be more clearer than that. We'll have more on what Friday will look like, and we will certainly share that with all of you. And we've been clear. Campaign event comes from the campaign. They lead those events. They speak to those events. And we have been very careful to let that live with the campaign.
But the answer you've given me suggests that the same event can transpire with exactly the same words and actions. Hang on, twice in a row, identically. But if one is organized by the White House, it's an official event, and if one is organized by the campaign, that's a campaign event.
So I want to be very clear here. What we're doing has been done by other presidents. It really, when there's a re-election for a president, there tends to be a campaign event and there tends to be an official event. That is not unusual. The way that we have moved forward with this process over the last couple of weeks, right, as we're in 2024. We're not doing anything different. We're not doing anything new. This is a protocol that has been existing for some time. So I'm just not going to get into go down a rabbit hole with you. We're not doing anything different. We're being very clear and following the protocol. I'm going to move around. I'm being pulled here.